Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Hockey Night in Australia. I am joined by Sean O'Connor and our very special guest from the Melbourne Mustangs, Mike Giorgi. Welcome. I'm going to launch straight in, Mike. Tell us about the weekend against Canberra Brave and just getting that win and how good that would have felt against such a Brave have been a stellar team in the later end of this season.
Yeah, I think the closer you get to finals, usually the harder it is to get any wins against the Brave, and so that one was particularly nice, just given where we're at in the season and kind of what we've gone through, and it was just a great win.
Were there any just standout moments in that game and just things that the team did well and that you've taken away ready for this coming weekend?
I think there's a few kind of moments where Canberra felt like they were taking back the momentum, and a few times this season maybe we would have let it get out of control and let the lead kind of slip away, and we just seemed to answer back a few times. I just remember kind of the emphatic goal that Dunks scored coming down the wing, and he just ripped it high, and there was just this feeling of like we just weren't going to let this one get away.
Yeah, I definitely remember the celebration that Dunkley had for that goal, and it just felt like almost a euphoria, right? Like it was just all clicking together, and it was going to be a Mustangs day.
Yeah, that's exactly the feeling, kind of washed over you.
So I did want to touch on to Dunkley, actually. So he's kind of a player who's come in sort of mid-season to back end of the season. He seems to have taken a little bit of time to settle in, but now he seems to be really hitting his stride with the team. What have you felt from Dunkley since he's joined?
Yeah, I think there's always kind of a bit of an adjustment period with a new country and a new team, and you kind of learn the longer you're in this league not to judge an import in his first couple of weeks, and I think Dunkley was even quicker than that. I think, by his third shift, all of us kind of saw the talent that he has and the speed that he has, and it's just good to have him out there.
Andrew McDougall, a long-time fan of the show, makes a great comment. Just the fact that you weren't trailing against Canberra the entire game was huge. While they fall back, you kept that momentum. And as Sean said, it felt like a Mustangs game.
Yeah, I think our team's kind of built to be in close ones, but especially to be in the lead and kind of play from the front. I think any team finds it probably easier, but Mustangs specifically have had a bit of trouble when it comes to getting down early. But once we get our legs going and get into the game, I think we're pretty good. So it's important not to fall behind.
How have you found the Mustangs this season compared to last season when you first joined the team?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of change, but a bit stayed the same. And so, we lost Slacker and Fad and some of the key guys in the room, but we also kept a really good core of players. And so, always having guys like Timmy and Wish, just kind of being that stable force in the dressing room. I think it always kind of just feels like business as usual. And, we just have a really good core of guys that feels like we can kind of weather those losses as much as we'd love those guys back. But I would say not a lot has changed, but at the same time, it does feel like it's a very different team.
Yeah, and I guess part of that is the introduction of the Bears players this year for your team. So Brody Lindell's been quite important in certain games. I do recall the game in Adelaide, especially when he scored with 11 seconds to go. That was a massive victory for you guys. How have they integrated with the team? And are any of them going to be staying in Melbourne or heading back?
Yeah, I think all of them kind of feel like Mustangs players in a lot of ways. It's been so good having Tyrell as well. He's just such good energy in the room, and he's a gamer. He's always he's gonna be there for the team, and he's always gonna bring his A game. And he's got that bit of sandpaper to him as well. And then, having Kimlin just the steady presence that he is, they've just all been, so important to the team this season and have just fit in so well. And like you said, Brody just can't stop scoring, and it's something that, it's good to have. Instead of just relying on one or two people, it's good to have that range of talent.
Yeah.
As for who's sticking around, I have no idea. I think I've also learned not to, count my eggs before they've hatched, and obviously you'd love to keep them all because they're all just such good players, but obviously the point system is going to make it very difficult.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams around the league would be so happy to keep hold of their Sydney players, but I'm sure the Sydney teams next year will definitely be wanting their players back. But it has been an interesting dynamic this season, right? Like it's changed how each team have, approached the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know in Newcastle, the North Stars fans have very much taken to Brian Funes in the defense and have fallen in love with him and his partner. So I know a lot of those fans are hoping he might move up here so he can stay here, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure those players are torn as well because, when I think of Funes, I think of, just being a Bears player through and through. And, and at the same time, it's kind of infectious the way he goes about the game. And, 100%. He's always happy to be there and, doesn't take anything for granted. And I think, so he would just be, appreciative of Newcastle taking him in. And when the season comes to an end, there's always going to be a tough decision no matter which way it goes.
Yeah. I know as a fan, being in the stands or behind the glass, he's just got such a love of the game and he's so excited to be in the home rink. His joy for the game is infectious and I love it. I love that about him. So, and he was one of those players I was like, he's rough, he's a bully, I don't like him. And I've gotten to know him this year and I love him. I think he's brilliant. And I've got a whole different perspective of him as a player now, which I think is a great thing for the fans to get a touch of these players in these other teams for a change. I think it brings people together a little bit. I've met a lot more Bears fans this year and keen to see them more next year.
Yeah, I think it's probably the same with Tyrell and Brody. I don't think a lot of visiting fans like either of them too much, but it's good to have them on your side. And Brody and I went at it quite a bit last year. He's a little spark plug, and he's a gamer, and he brings that out of you, and brought it out of me for sure. And we're having a few laughs this year about some of the stuff we did to each other last year on the ice.
That is one thing about Australian hockey, right? It's not that big a community, so you tend to get to know everyone quite well.
Yeah, exactly.
You are also a player who has actually switched AIHL teams in your career. How did you find that situation and actually moving from Canberra to Melbourne and, going from the Brave to the Mustangs?
Yeah, I think it was kind of what I was just, mentioning is that it's bittersweet in a lot of ways. And there's a tough decision to kind of make. And I think for me, it was lucky that I didn't really have that choice. I moved down to Melbourne, and I think, Canberra's point situation is tedious at the best of times. And so I doubt I was ever going to be a fly in, fly out player for them. So it made the decision pretty easy. I just, met Wish and some of the guys before the season even started, and it just felt like a really good fit. And I was excited to just keep playing hockey and do it with people that I genuinely liked.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, so that's huge, right? When you get along with your teammates and you become good mates, that would translate to into games, right? When you just that kind of rapport with each other would make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. I moved down and Wish reached out and said he's got a truck and he's happy to help me, move. And Thomas Flack, we found out we worked just down the street from each other, like a couple hundred meters. And, he come and met me for lunch. And this was all before I even decided to play for the Mustangs. It was just kind of like having a support system as soon as I got here. And it just meant a lot to me off the ice. And so when it came to kind of picking a team, it just felt really natural because I was already kind of friends with these people off the ice. And I think that makes a huge difference. And it definitely helps in the dressing room.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been disappointed this year that Thomas Flack hasn't been playing because he's been a very impressive player over the last couple of years. Hopefully we get to see him back next year, maybe. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping.
I'm hoping as well. I'm hearing good things, but like I said, in this league, you don't count your chickens till they hatch, and until I see him down here, his skinny legs walking around the dressing room, I won't believe it.
All right, so I'll just jump through and go through some of these comments. So we've got Phil Taylor saying evening all. Phil Taylor, of course, the lead of all the photographers in the league down there in Melbourne. Eric Bolner, Sean with a big time ball cap. Yeah, Canberra Cavalry no longer exist as of this year. So don't know who to support now. I don't know about supporting the Bandits, but I'm sure we'll find a team. And then we've got Andrew McDougall. Pat O'Kane scoring his first goal in 6 years was a massive moment. Yeah, I did clock that he scored, and I was trying to think myself, when was the last time Pat O'Kane scored? 6 years ago. That seems like a long time ago because he used to score quite a lot of goals.
Yeah, I remember him coming in to play against Canberra in 2014, and he was obviously like the Patty O'Kane that everyone knows, and just such a good player and dynamic, and just a guy that you kind of remember no matter how long goes by. And it was good to see him. That first practice when he came out, he was still such a shifty player and so smart, and it was just like a really good feeling to have him back in the room. And I think you could tell by the way our team reacted how happy everyone was to see him score that one.
Yeah, nice. Eric Bonnet also has an interesting question. Can you walk me through the Sunday in Adelaide for the Mustangs after losing big on Saturday? Keen to hear about the mindset, the third period, and what that win meant. Had Adelaide won that game, they were in finals right now instead of the Stangs. Yeah,
it's funny. We probably didn't know how massive that game was in the moment because as good as Adelaide's been playing, we knew that their run would have to be pretty impressive to kind of pass us. We didn't really foresee like a sweep against Perth, and but we still kind of had been struggling for a little while, and that loss on Saturday was kind of a turning point where we all got together and had a chat, and we were like, this is kind of where it has to turn around. And we had a lot of players buy in, and we kind of simplified our game and just simplified what was important to us. And we just kind of went out there with a do or die attitude. We said, if it doesn't stop now, it's not, the bleeding's not going to stop, and there's no point really even going to finals if you're going to limp in without dreams of something bigger. And it was just a real rubber meets the road moment for our team, and it was just a great feeling coming out on Sunday and playing the way we did.
Yeah, I mean, and now you look at the Mustangs, especially after that Saturday performance, you go, well, they can beat anyone on their day, right? If you make finals, you can beat anyone there. So it can definitely be a dream of the Goodall Cup again.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know you have won one once before, so probably be good to give another try. So that'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty excited for it. It's always an exciting time where you find yourself at work or just even on like a Saturday, you're just randomly thinking about being on the ice for finals. And I think every player kind of has a little extra pep in their step around this time of year.
Yeah, you're looking forward to finals being in Melbourne this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as cool as the AIS experience was, I still think in terms of everything, the whole picture, Melbourne still has the best facility, and the ice is nice and big and suits how we play, and obviously the fans are crazy, and the just the facility just for traveling fans, and a finals experience is the best there is. So definitely always excited.
Yeah, touching on the AIS, how did you feel going to the AIS to play a game in Canberra as opposed to the old Phillip rink?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the difference is pretty astounding, and having played in the old Canberra Phillip rink for a while, it was a bit of an adjustment. To be honest, the ice didn't feel that much bigger than Phillip in terms of size.
It's very similar. It's maybe a bit wider, but I think the length-wise, it's the same length.
I think that was a bit deceptive, just because the rest of the rink feels so big, and once you get out there, you kind of feels like I'm back in Canberra, and no, but it was good. It was good to see, how many fans, both the Saturday and the Sunday, I think, were sold out. Fans were nuts. It's just,
and there were such an amazing group of Mustangs fans that traveled down as well. They were a big group.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how well the Mustangs fans, how well they travel, and we're always, kind of feeling bad if we don't have the best performance, because we know how many people are there, like rain or shine, doesn't matter where in the country that we're playing. They're there for us, and we see them and we hear them, and we want to do our best for them, and it's just really cool having played for two teams now that have really, really good traveling fans.
Yeah, nice. Speaking of, here's Andrew McDougall. I'm traveling to Perth on Sunday, so you're definitely going to have at least one fan. I suspect more. But yeah, Perth's a big one for anyone on the East Coast. So
yeah, absolutely. It's good to hear GE will be there. I've heard a few people are going to be there, and so yeah, we'll try to get a couple wins for you and spot you in the crowd and give you a wave.
So also got Casey on here saying, hey Casey. Thanks for joining in. And Anthony Russell from the UK, banners on the wall. Mustangs have been an interesting watch this year. A head scratcher, but in the crunch, they'll pull up their fist and put a shift in. Yeah, I think that's probably a very true statement.
Yeah, I think that's honestly really fair, and I don't think anyone in our dressing room will argue with it. I think definitely we're the type of team that we'll surprise you when you put us, up against the wall, and we got some absolute dogs in that room, and led by old man Jonesy. He's flying around out there still, and yeah, I can't argue with that statement.
All right.
You touched on a moment ago, just not expecting Adelaide to sweep Perth, and they were in Adelaide. Does that help the mindset of the team to going into this weekend, that it's really anyone's game, which has been, I think, a story of this entire season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there again, it's kind of you want that push from behind. I think Adelaide kind of starting the run that they started, kind of woke us up a bit. We were kind of cruising in that 5-6 spot, and we were kind of we just didn't have a fire lit under us, and having kind of that pressure from the back that really helps us kind of lock in. And I've been a part of teams where the last couple of weeks meant absolutely nothing at all, and you don't want to kind of coast into finals with that just stay healthy mindset. You kind of want to keep the wheels turning, and I think we're all really excited to go to Perth this weekend, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a benefit for us come finals next weekend. It's just keeping the momentum going. We've had a few wins now, and it's just getting ready for finals.
I've said this the last couple of weeks on the pod, but I'm curious just for your thoughts, having been in the league for a while, that have you noticed this year's just been that much more competitive, that every game is really, it comes down to the game. It's not a case of you go into a game going, oh yeah, this is ours, we've got this, we've got it in the bag. And we're at the point of this weekend is the last game of the last games of the regular season, and they are still going to have an impact on the standings. Like, I don't think I've seen that in the last few years.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing today. Is I don't remember a time when the last games could make or break finals for someone, and not having it kind of locked up early. Sometimes there's jostling for first or second, but generally, like, finals are sorted a few weeks ago, and again, it just makes it exciting for everyone. I think for the players to have something to play for this late in the season, and it's also good for the league to have as many competitive teams as we have. Even Central Coast, I know, like, they probably didn't have the season they expected, but when you saw their roster kind of at the start of the year, you said they're good enough to beat people as well on any given day. And obviously, like, Bert went down with an injury. He's a massive player for any team, just even from like a leadership perspective. And then TK was having a great year, and sucks to see him out. And those are two, like, really good Australian players that any team would really suffer having out of their lineup. And so you put those two guys into their team, and who knows where they're at this point of the season. It's just really good for the league. I think everyone enjoys playing in it. There's no kind of easy outs, and as we saw last weekend, Central Coast winning in shootout. It's just it's anybody's night.
Yeah, it was an exciting game too, that shootout victory. I guess didn't expect it fully, especially after the performance the day before, because the Rhinos haven't had the season, as you said, that they thought they might have. It was very exciting at the start of the season to see their roster being announced. They were one of the first rosters to be announced. And bringing across Lander and the Kuleshov brothers and whatnot, it was exciting. But saying that, they've still been able to beat any team on their day. They've just got this little knack of not being able to complete the full 60 minutes. And that really hurts them when it comes to the actual results.
Yeah, I think it's important in this league to play the full 60 minutes, right? Like, I've seen there's been a few kind of meltdowns from quite a few teams this season where, they're up big going into the third period, and, whether it's penalty problems or, just falling asleep at the wheel, there's been a couple big leads that we've seen kind of vanish in our league. And again, it's exciting for the fans, probably not so much for the coaches, but it's definitely more noticeable this season than it has been in previous ones.
Yeah, what's it like having Timmy as being both a coach as well as a player for the team?
Yeah, I think obviously he's kind of like our leader, no matter where he is in the dressing room or on the ice. And so with a guy like that, it just makes a lot of sense. In a lot of ways, Wish is also a kind of an assistant coach without even us needing to give him the official title, but just guys that have kind of been there and just have such a wealth of knowledge, and they are just guys that are always thinking hockey and just understand the game at such a deeper level that they're going to be coaching you no matter what. And having him behind the bench on Saturday especially, it was a really good thing for the team, and we all responded really well. And just having his kind of presence and his knowledge kind of behind the bench, he's just noticing things that take years of reps and years of hundreds of games being played to pick up, and he just does it with so much ease. And so whether we got him with his skates on, which is obviously preferable for all of us, but skates on or with the clipboard in his hand, he's just a really big part of this team.
Yeah, I think it's been really good for the league in general, having both Wishart and Timmins stay around the league and move here, and it's great for Australian hockey because they have so much that they can teach all about young players, and it's been really good.
Yeah, absolutely, especially because I think both have a knack for teaching as well, and I think they're going to be involved in the game long after they quit playing, and Australia is lucky to have him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we do
So
have
I
a
might
couple more.
jump real quick to last weekend's results graphic, because there was another game that I did want to touch on, being the Brave and Melbourne Ice game, which went to OT, which was just edge of your seat really watching, and how hard both those teams played. Mike, you mentioned when we were off air that you got to watch this game. So were there any standout moments that just sort of made you go, wow?
Probably not any standout moments. I think it was just like watching, finals hockey and seeing both teams kind of, just leave it all out there. I know Canberra probably had second place on their mind, and that's such an important kind of spot to grab with that extra game for everyone else. And so it was good that something was still on the line, and these players are so good and they have so much pride. I doubt they're going to take the night off anyways, and so just seeing like kind of the top end talent in this league, just go for it. It was an entertaining game, and I thought we got a little extra bang for our buck with the overtime.
Yeah. And we've discussed this, Sean, in some of our chats, that we had a few OT games early in the season, and then we had this big patch of just a lot of regulation wins. And then right at the end of the season, we got a shootout with Brisbane and Rhinos, and then a few hours later, OT with Brave and Ice. So what was your highlight of the weekend, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a number of highlights. Both the Rhinos shootout victory and the Brave victory, like especially the way the Brave did it in OT. I mean, it was like 13 seconds or something. It was straight off the bat, just goal straight away. What a way to deflate the hometown support. But the game was built up even more, I think, because the Brave lost the day before and they didn't want to lose both games in Melbourne again. Because, of course, earlier in the season, the Brave went to Melbourne and they got smacked by both the Mustangs and the Ice. So they didn't want to leave the regular season not having won a game in Melbourne, especially because then finals are in Melbourne. So,
You want to
both
know
games were amazing. And also that series up in Adelaide as well was also amazing. The entire hockey last weekend was just so much fun to watch.
I think the fun is, like, the element of it being fun is added to because placement. Where are they landing in the standings? Who needs to win? Who needs to lose? And then we were getting these OTs and shootouts, which just kind of erased all of the plan of regulation win. Like, okay, now they won in overtime. What does that mean? So everyone was still getting these points, and I loved it. I loved that weekend.
And so does someone up here in the comments, actually. Like,
yeah, we'll get to that.
Heartbreaking loss on Sunday. I'm sorry, Courtney, but I want to light a fire under my Brisbane lads. They win both games this weekend. Going to get a lightning tat. I mean, if you're that keen, do it. Love to see that passion for our league.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. I did want to highlight just something that came out that weekend is our milestone with Dmitry Kuleshov for the Rhinos hitting his 50-goal milestone. He's just had a blinder of a season, and it's been really cool to see, particularly a kid like him, get the ice time. He hasn't lost a season with the Ice Dogs not playing, and he's really stood tall for the team. So I think he's got a very, very long career ahead of him, and just one of those kids I think we're going to see in the AIHL for a long time to come, hopefully. If Europe or America don't pick him up, or Canada.
Yeah, Mike, as a defenseman, you obviously would have come up against Dimmy at some point. What's it like to defend against him?
Yeah, he's a really crafty player, and like you said, he's just so young, and I think he's got a lot of years ahead of him. And even now, he's tough to play against, and I got a lot of respect for him. He's a gamer as well, and he's not afraid to take a hit to make a play, and he's always got a bit of a joke to send my way, and I got the pleasure to meet him off the ice just randomly we bumped into each other in Melbourne, and he's just seems like a really good kid. Got his head on his shoulders, but can obviously play, and it's going to be good to see him kind of develop during his career.
So speaking of randomly meeting someone off the ice, do you remember this? 2015, we randomly met each other at the old what was it?
What was it called? The chicken?
Chicken.
Yeah, gourmet chicken. Yeah, that was
they used to get
right next to King O'Malley's. I do remember frequenting that place after a few drinks, but obviously in that photo I'm very sober, and it was good to bump into you. I do remember that night. That was probably 11 years ago.
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, crazy.
When I discovered hockey that year.
That was when I remember your partner said, "Oh, do you remember who were the first imports to play for the Brave?" And then I got it wrong because I forgot to mention your name.
Obviously a trick question. But I do remember that night. It was good. You were the first ever Brave fan I've ever bumped into outside of the rink.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and what was it like actually, talking about the Brave briefly, to actually start up in a brand new team in Australia?
Yeah, that was a crazy time. I just moved down. I was doing my master's at UC, and Nick Eckhart, who's a former goalie for the Brave, he was in my class, and he was kind of like, "Hey, where's that accent from?" And I told him it was from Canada, and he was like, "Do you play any ice hockey?" And I was like, "I haven't for a while. I think it'd been close to 10 years." But I was like, "I used to." And he said, "There's this team called the Knights, and we've just folded. We're not even sure if we have enough players to resurrect the team, but we're trying, and it'd be good if you just come to our off ice session and meet Matty Luoma, the coach, and see we might need players." And I didn't really know there was ice hockey down here in Australia, and so I thought it'd be interesting anyways, just to go check it out. And I think they had an exhibition game the next night, and I got a kind of a yard sale of equipment put together for me. A bunch of guys just threw in a bunch of old gear, and I still have a lot of it now. I still wear it. And I played in the exhibition game, and Matty came to me after the game, and he's like, "Do you want to play with us this season?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" And a few weeks later, we were playing Newcastle in the first ever Brave game, and we had some guys there. I think the only guy that's still left is Kai out of that group. Yeah. But we were just kind of like a ragtag group of misfits, and it was just a very fun season, and making finals in our first year, kind of defying expectations. I think the Knights had won 3 games in 3 years or something,
and they never made finals.
Yeah, and it was just a whirlwind of a season, and just kind of I have a lot of fond memories from that season. Just had some real characters on the team, and just we were basically a room full of just good dressing room guys, and I never had that much fun playing hockey in my life, so it was a good way to come out of retirement.
Nice.
And here you are still playing all these years later.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't play many games. Obviously, I was kind of just a backup import. The imports didn't fall through. I think they expected a few of them not to come, and then Wally and Blunden came, but a few, and then I think Peke was in net, and he came for the first game, but then we were kind of waiting on Anton Kokoin, and so I got to play kind of when he wasn't playing, and then later in the season, Wally blew out his knee, and I played a few more games for him then. But yeah, I think it was still fun just being around the team, and just being ready in case one of the imports got suspended or hurt, and it was just a good way to see Australia and kind of meet a bunch of friends in a new country. And so just really thankful the way it worked out and how I kind of fell into the sport again, having not played it for so long and not knowing they had it in Australia.
Yeah, and funnily enough, like, again, didn't know that Australia had ice hockey initially. Now you've actually played for the Australian national team. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was pretty surreal. I didn't think I would, let it impact me as much as it did, but it was like just a really like powerful moment when you put on that jersey and you go out with the guys that you usually play against, and obviously there was a few brave guys on there, but it's just kind of like something bigger than Australian Ice Hockey League. It's like bigger than yourself, and I just found like an enormous amount of pride and respect for the jersey, and it was just one of the coolest experiences I've got to have.
Awesome.
That's unreal. I might jump into just looking at the weekend coming up.
We can do that.
Yeah, we've touched on this already, and in just that every game is going to have an impact on the standings. But yeah, I kind of just want to go through what's coming up and I guess between the three of us, what we think results might look like. Obviously, being a North Stars fan, I will be on the edge of my seat as we watch them compete against Brisbane in Boondall. And as I mentioned before, it's been a season of it's anyone's game, and I think it very much applies here. I think North Stars are strong. They've got their core group, have bought into their systems. They know what they need to do. They buy in and get the job done. But Brisbane's been such a dark horse. They've had their ups and downs lately, have tripped a few times and having a bit of a struggle at the end of the season. But I think it's going to be a couple of close games in Queensland. And then I feel that much the same in Perth. So how are you going into this weekend, Mike, knowing there's a lot on the line? Perth will be pushing because they want second. You guys will be pushing. You want to make sure you secure that 5th or 6th spot. There's going to be a lot of competition. So what's the mindset going into this weekend, and also just being aware of the other games? So Adelaide against Melbourne Ice, it could go either way. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think kind of like I said earlier, we're on a bit of a roll right now. I think we won 3 in a row, which hasn't happened for a while. And so I think it's just doing what we've been doing and kind of keeping it simple and really just like controlling the things that we can control. I think there was a time when we kind of, expected things to happen, but we weren't doing the things that we could do where, it doesn't take too much skill. It's just more an effort thing. And I think as long as we keep doing those things, that we feel like we're always going to have a chance to win. And obviously this weekend's a massive one, so we're all going to be up for it. And I'm just kind of excited to get out there.
Does the fact that Adelaide beat them twice play into that at all? That I feel like Perth are renowned as being one of those stronger teams, like when you're facing Melbourne Ice. Does the fact that they've gone to Adelaide, lost those 2, does that help at all?
I think it's not that it was completely unexpected. I think, we had to go to Adelaide this year, and obviously we talked about that Saturday game earlier where we were kind of, caught sleeping. And I think Adelaide's a really good team in their barn. They know how to play in that place. They have systems that are really strong, and they outwork everyone, and they just a tough team to play against. And kind of having that experience, I don't think too many of us were like really, really shocked. And if you're not ready for it, if you're not ready for a fist fight down in Adelaide on a Saturday night, you're going to get caught sleeping. And
Darcy Flanagan, need we say more?
Yeah, exactly. And he's not the only one, right? Like they got a lot of guys who are gamers down there, and right to their imports. They're Nekledovs and Atkins. Yeah. They're both not just skilled guys. Like they can play hard, and they can they can get physical with you. And so I'm not surprised by the result, and I don't think it really changes much for us. we know Perth's a good team. We know they can score a ton of goals if you're not careful. And
Unica Saka, he's had an amazing season this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Zane Jones is back now too.
Exactly. I always joke with Zane because I'm pretty sure he only plays against us every season. But so I'm not surprised that he came back to play us 2 more times. But yeah, he's obviously a great player, and he really changes that team, their dynamics, and they all seem to play, like they're 2 feet taller when he's on the ice, and so that'll be good for them. And
it's also a hard barn to play at for an away team as well, Adelaide. So the ice, from what people have told me, is quite different to other places.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of like the quirks of this league, is that, we don't have uniform kind of arenas just yet anyways. And so there's always kind of different styles to play. I think teams in Melbourne always struggled to come play us in Canberra because, they're used to like this Olympic size ice, and then they have to go play in a telephone booth, and the way you play is just completely different. The systems that you kind of have might not work in there, and it's the same in Adelaide, and I would say it's the same in Perth. I think Perth, I've always kind of like taken me a period or 2 to kind of adjust to the softness of the ice, and the kind of dimensions are a little bit different, or the lighting. Like there's just so many things you kind of don't consider until you're out there and you're like, oh, this is a bit different, and this is going to take some adjustments. But that's just kind of the fun of home ice advantage.
Yeah. It's also going to be interesting this weekend as well, because Perth are missing Alexei Toivonen, and he was confirmed suspended today. So that's a big loss for Perth. But yeah, they've got good backups. They should still be fine. It's just a bit different to what they would probably prefer to be doing.
Absolutely. And I think Alexei had a lights out performance against us last time we played them, or maybe 2 times ago. I think he got a shutout against us, and he had a rough night the night before against the ice, and then being Alexei, he just had a typical bounce back game where he just seems to let everything kind of flow off the water off his back, and he just came out and had a stellar game against us. So he's obviously a big part of why they're such a good team, having such a good local goalie, but also at the same time, like everyone kind of has to deal with those injuries sometimes, and Perth still has a lot of great players over there, so they'll be ready.
There's a couple of really good comments in the chat, just starting with Jared's, reflecting on your story, Mike. That's such a nice, sweet story, Giorgi. Actually tearing up listening to the history of your brave times. So there's a lot of fans out there that probably have followed you across your teams.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to make a nice boy cry.
Andrew McDougall makes a comment just on Brisbane's game. Brisbane have to stop giving up 7+ goals per game. I think that's spot on. You're not going to win a hockey game if you're letting that many goals in, because if you can't put that same amount or more back in at the other end, it's not the equation for a good game, I don't think. So you're spot on there.
Anthony doesn't agree with this as well. He says, no, Dougie, we demand more chaos. Pinball score hockey forever.
I'd love to see the statistics on teams, what their record might be after letting in 7 goals. I know in my experience, I've probably never won a game. Maybe a crazy 1 or 2 in the Brave days, but
yeah, I do remember a game. I can't remember what year. It might have been 2017.
Yeah, it was 20. I remember. No, there was one in 20. Oh, okay. There was one in 2014. We played the Bears, and our import goalie was injured, and basically Matty Luoma called us in the room and he said, I don't want to put specific numbers in anyone's head, but I think we need to score about 8 goals tonight if we want to win. And it was against the Bears, and we won 8-7. So he was right. But yeah, it was an old-fashioned barn burner, and I don't think either team had an import goalie in the net, and so just a good old-fashioned shootout.
Yeah, this one I was thinking about was a 9-8 game that 10-9 game that the Ice ended up winning. Josh Eunice was the coach of the Brave at the time.
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
It was a pretty crazy game. I just remember the benches emptying at one stage. There was an all-out brawl happening. It was just one of those crazy nights of hockey.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
Andrew actually has a question for you on here. Question for Mike. Do you like being a net front presence, either on power play or 5-on-5?
I used to think I did, and then last year in Brisbane, puck came up off a Ty Wishart slap shot and hit me in the head, and I think it cracked my helmet, and I was a bit sore for a few weeks. It hit me kind of right in the temple, and it was throbbing for the rest of the weekend pretty much. And it just kind of like you kind of stop feeling like you're invincible out there. And I started questioning how much fun being in front of the net is. I think now that I got the bubble on, I definitely jump back out there if they wanted me to. But just also seeing what happened to Mac this year, taking a Ty shot to the face. I'm making Ty sound like he's hurting people, but the one that hit me was a deflection, and it wasn't his fault. But just seeing what happened to Mac's teeth and kind of the struggles that he's going through right now, not only like fixing his teeth, but just kind of like the money and kind of how tough it is for him to kind of get insurance to cover that big medical bill. You kind of question whether it's worth it to stand in front of the net and let guys blast shots at you. But at the same time, like if they ask me to do it, I'm more than happy, and hopefully I can help someone else score a goal by screening a goalie.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, we have covered so much tonight, and including things that we normally would itemize, but I'm going to skip to our final thoughts because, I think we've covered the highlights, surprises that we think will come of the weekend. Look, it's another big weekend of hockey this weekend, and I'm excited to watch all of it. Any final thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. First off, this is the free game of the weekend on AIHL TV. Adrenaline versus not Mustangs, Melbourne Ice on Saturday. I think it was originally going to be the Mustangs game on Sunday, but it was changed just because Adelaide is still in play on Saturday, and we don't know if they will be on Sunday, but that's the great thing about this final weekend. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, I've now completely forgotten. So I'm going to give it to Mike to have his final thoughts.
Oh, yeah. Just want to say thanks for having me on. Long-time listener, first-time caller kind of situation. Just excited for the weekend, and just wanted to shout out to the Mustangs fans. Can't wait to see you all down in Perth, the ones who are traveling, and the ones who aren't, excited to see you on finals weekend. I know you guys are the best, and you'll all be out in your bright orange colors, and just very excited for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, and this weekend, like there are different scenarios that can happen. Like the Mustangs and the Brisbane, they can both qualify if they both win, or if Adelaide lose a game. If Adelaide win both their games, they just need one of either the Mustangs or Brisbane to lose both of their games to be in. So
interesting weekend for sure.
It's all crazy. Yeah.
And Perth is still fighting for a position as well. So, home ice could have a big difference in the game, especially at this level where line matching can be very important. And so I think every team that's left, Newcastle, Perth, us, Brisbane, like everyone's battling for something. And so should make for a good weekend of hockey.
And of course, even those teams that have clinched, they want that momentum, the momentum of winning going into the finals weekend. So, as you say, every team's got something that they want to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely.
So make sure you let your friends and family know. AIHL TV, the free game of the week, will be the Adelaide Melbourne Ice on Saturday. Share it around because we want more people at the rinks next season. Get out to your local rinks, watch it live, support your teams, comment, share their socials. It helps the algorithm share it to more people that might not know ice hockey exists, because there are still people that don't know, which astounds me. But we will reach them one day. So thank you, everyone, for commenting, being in the chat with us today, for watching live. Thank you so much, Mike, for your time. We appreciate you joining us, giving us some of your history, your stories, and your input into this season. And best of luck for the weekend.
Awesome. Thank you.
See you all next week in Hockey Night in Australia. We will be joined by Andrew McDougall, will be our special guest. So I'm locking him in now. we will see you on the 28th for our finals preview chat, and very much looking forward to it. Have a great night.
See you all.
See ya.